following episode most likely contains graphic language, details of violence, and murder, and may not be suitable for all audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode 52 of Murder with My Mother, the true crime podcast where I talk murder with my mother. My mother, Christie.
That would be me.
This nice, beautiful lady. It's February, so.
Love month.
Yeah, love month. Well, I mean, I honestly, it's like I was booking something today and they're like, yeah, next week, February 15th. I was like, how is it the middle of February already?
I don't know, but I've celebrated Galentine's for a couple years now. And
Not
this
anymore.
year I get to celebrate Valentine's.
Yeah, mom's got a boyfriend, everybody.
Whoop, whoop.
So.
That internet dating that I wasn't going to do anymore
Yeah.
paid off.
Lucked out when we left her to go to Mexico and ditched her for Christmas and she was depressed. Well,
Yep.
now you got a boyfriend out
So
of that.
everybody cross your fingers for me.
And your toes.
Yeah,
I
and
got my toes crossed.
and every appendage.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
There's a couple things we wanted to touch on, obviously, in the true crime community. There's some big things that have happened. And especially with us only recording once a month right now, it's like, we've got a lot to talk about. So.
We certainly do have a lot to talk about.
Well, we've touched on Rex Heuermann, who was the man who last year was charged with some of the Gilgo Beach murders. So,
Real son of a bitch, that guy.
yeah, real son of a bitch. Like you guys, like we've said before, last month, Heuermann was charged with murdering Maureen. Well, this is new. Maureen Brainerd Barnes, who was one of the victims, one of the Gilgo Four. So the latest charge came about 6 months after he was initially arrested and charged for the murder of the 3 other women whose bodies were found on Gilgo Beach.
And I mean, this case was kind of weird because that he wasn't charged with all of them in the first place because they were all found.
Well, the details, right?
Yeah, the details were all exactly the same as Maureen's.
Yeah.
So the fact that
With
she
the
was
burlap and the
she's-
tape and all that stuff.
and in the same area.
Well, but there are other bodies that have been in that area that may or may not eventually be linked to Heuermann. So, I mean,
yeah, like we don't know if the burlap was something that he
That's
did
pretty
as no, but maybe it's something that he graduated to.
Yeah,
Who knows?
exactly. So the married father, accused by authorities of leading a double life, Heuermann had faced 3 counts of first-degree murder for the killings of Melissa Bartholomew in 2009 and Megan Waterman and Amber Costello the following year. So we'll keep you guys posted. You guys know we are on that shit.
Yeah,
so.
that one's going to be pretty huge as it unfolds.
Well, yeah, it
as
already
the court
is.
case goes on.
Well, Long Island serial killer, because
Yeah.
originally they were kind of tying it all to, like, you know, how could not more than one person. That's the creepy thing, though, about serial killers. There's so many, and some of them can be operating at the same time in the same place. So it's like, what the fuck?
Well, I think some people think like, oh, well, someone's already doing this. Here's my opportunity. They'll just think it's that same person
Exactly.
because their fucked up, twisted minds just.
Yeah, so we'll keep you guys posted on that one. Another big thing in the true crime community is Selena Quintanilla. She was murdered in March of 1995. I was in a Selena tribute band, so I was a huge fan.
Denika was
still.
a huge and is still a huge
Como
fan of
la
Selena.
flor. Yeah, like
That-
I know every word of every song that she's ever
And I got
written.
to listen to it the whole time she was growing up.
You're welcome. So Selena Quintanilla's murderer is eligible for parole, and there is a documentary releasing on Oxygen where she says she wants to set the record straight. It kind of hints that it was accidental, blah, blah, blah. But, like, come on.
Whatever, Yolanda, you little troll.
Yeah. So Yolanda Saldivar, who was president of Selena's fan club, fatally shot the 23-year-old at a hotel in Corpus Christi in March of 1995 after being confronted about embezzling funds. So obviously, if you've seen the movie, that's pretty much based on exactly what happened, or exactly what they say happened, or everyone else except for Yolanda says happened. So we'll see what she's got to say.
Yolanda.
Yeah, Yolanda. But the then 35-year-old was found guilty of first-degree murder and was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole. So now she's 63, and
Which really isn't that long, like you think
No.
about it.
well, for the States, it's not that long. For here, it's like, holy shit, you did your
Oh my
25
God, you
years.
killed 6 people?
Yeah, and you could get, like we were discussing, Picton. he has killed at least 50 women, and he is out, or he's eligible, which that it blows my mind. He is eligible for parole next year.
Like
so
that is
he's
the
the
biggest
worst serial
travesty of
killer.
justice.
Yeah, he's like the worst serial killer we have had. Probably.
Ever.
Yeah.
And I
But
think
let him out.
I think he ranks up there in the whole world. Like that's a lot of people.
Well, just the fact, like, it's not, because I highly doubt he's going to get it. But give me some good behavior and maybe he'll be out. Maybe he's, you know.
Well, he'd probably get an unescorted escort.
Yeah.
Or unescorted pass.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing about Canada, right? And I mean, there's so many things I could say right now. But yeah, no, I hope that doesn't happen. But just the fact that, okay, he's eligible for parole. But that means the families have to go. They have to relive the horrors that they lived. And, you know, when their family members went missing, and then when they found out the horrible circumstances behind their murder. It's like, just leave the people alone, keep him in jail for the rest of his life where he belongs.
And if any of you remember when all of that started to unfold, like I was even traumatized by it, and I was just a member of the public that was watching it from the sidelines.
Yeah.
Like I remember actually being at a nightclub one night and running into a bunch of the police that were on the team that were like investigating that.
Like with a notepad. Like,
yeah. What? And they were even like, this is fucked up.
Yeah, it is fucked up. And especially because he operated under everybody's noses for so long.
And right on the edge of the city.
Yeah.
Like, crazy.
Well, he targeted the most vulnerable people in our society. As we know, serial killers do.
They do tend to do that for sure.
Yeah. But you know what? We are actually going to do that episode one day. We really want to obviously give that one, probably going to be multiple parts, at least two, at least.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, the reason we haven't done it yet is because we want to pay homage to each and every one of Picton's victims.
Mm-hmm. Well, and they're just so much more than that, right?
Totally.
That's why.
And that's
like,
why. Like, I don't want to just do a case where, we don't want to just do a case where it's just all about his actions. We would like to discuss, you know, what these women were before they fell victim to such a fucking piece of
work, that guy.
Yeah.
That's the nicest thing I could probably say. But we are actually in the process of starting a blog. So we are going to be keeping you guys up to date. We know you guys love our current events. This will kind of, again, I'm wearing 8 hats at the moment, not like I'm wearing one.
It only looks like one to me.
No, I'm wearing one if you guys can't see. But no, I mean, you know, I've got a lot on the go, but this something for me, like this is something that's obviously I'm passionate about.
Yeah, this is our passion project.
It is, yeah. And again, that I get to hang out with my mom, bonus. So yeah, if you guys like those stories, if you guys want to keep up to date, you guys can go to www.murderwithmymotherpodcast.com and check it out. So after our last case, and probably the last 4 cases we've done, because they kind of all reflect the same beliefs that we have, obviously. We had some people reach out to us, and we had someone reach out and kind of tell us about a case. And this one really, the things that I felt were so complex because, I'm PMSing, so no. But it's like there's so many different things that when you read a case, and especially for someone who I like to think I'm pretty up there with knowing about all this shit that's going on, especially in Canada. Yeah. But same with you. But this one touched us as we dove deeper, like as a mother, as a friend, as a daughter, as like a Canadian especially. This one, like, I was astonished the fact that I hadn't heard about this case.
Well, and we talked about the fact that a little while ago, we started being censored on all of our platforms, our social media platforms, where we are not allowed any longer in Canada to get any sort of news on our social media platforms, which...
Well, if you think about it, like that engulfs so much of our lives just around the world, globally. I mean, people spend, you can get lost in the scroll, right? You get lost, and wouldn't you think that having news and being up to the, in the know, up to date with things that are going on, especially in your country, would be a good thing for us? Well, I would think that.
I mean, I would also think that, and we both don't even have cable TV anymore. Like, that's the way we've talked about that before. Like, we don't have cable. Like, fucking internet costs enough.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's not the case with the rest of even North America.
No,
we have the highest. We have the highest prices also for cable, for any of that stuff. It's like if you take it away from people,
Gas
then
and
they
groceries.
everything.
So cable's the last thing on the to-do list. So yeah, but this case touches on something that, again, our dedicated listeners, because in every case we've touched on this, basically every case that we've brought you guys, we really try to advocate, keep the victims at the forefront, and kind of tell their stories. And, you know, in our recent episodes, we felt more strongly about changing and getting some kind of change made to our justice system in Canada, because this is enough.
And we're hopeful that we can inspire change and hopefully lead change.
Yeah, and the fact that this, as we dove deeper into this case, it is something that is, you know, the family of the victims have fought so hard because of the loss of their family members to bring change and to advocate and to, you know, just kind of scream it to anybody that will listen. And if you don't have things like on social media where you can see this and you don't watch the news, how are you supposed to know that these things need your attention? I don't know.
It's true.
Right? So this story is horrible. Every story we do is horrible. I had to warn Dan today because it's horrible, but he's like, well, none of these are really, you know, enjoyable. But I'm like, no, they're not. But this one today is just, it's so important in order to understand why here at Murder with My Mother and so many other people in this country are so passionate about changing the laws here. So, surprise, surprise, repeat violent offenders being let back into our communities over and over and over again, and not even just to do the same things. Usually what you see them going
escalating.
up, you know, changing.
As they repeat, they escalate because
they don't want to go back
caught.
to jail.
They've been caught, they've been released, and now they don't want to get caught again. Yeah. There is also a lot of people that don't know about this stuff. They don't know until this affects their families. And the one thing we keep hearing from family after family of the victims is, I hope no one else has to go through this. And you don't realize how much you are not taken seriously or supported when you're going through our justice system.
Exactly. And you guys know, we feel like it's the criminal justice. It's always justice for the criminals. But what about the families? What about the victims? The fact that these people are set free to re-victimize, and that just engulfs more people and more families and more victims, right? So these are real people. Every episode we do, they're real people. They have family, they have friends, they have people who love them immensely. And they're not just another episode for us, right? These are people who have been murdered, senselessly murdered. And the fact that so much of it is preventable, especially in this country, blows my mind and continues to blow my mind. So
every time.
Exactly. So we feel we can change our country so that no family has to go through this ever again. And this case today, trigger warning, obviously, this is a young mother and a baby who were senselessly murdered, and they should have been protected, especially in their own home.
And that's what makes this such a senseless, horrific crime. The fact that, it could have been prevented, but it's on a whole another level.
Yeah. So we want to continue to bring awareness and shed light on the areas of our justice system that allow these monsters to fall through the cracks and shatter the lives of innocent Canadians that live in these communities, unaware of the dangers that are as close as next door. So the family in this case has advocated for their loved ones by bringing forth and fighting for a legislative change to be made. Bill C-336, or now better known as Noah's Law. So this bill will advocate for mandatory reporting by convicted sex offenders when changing residences, implement consequences for non-compliance supported by the issuance of arrest warrants, and establish a distinct classification for individuals convicted of sexual assault offenses against children with sentences of more than 2 years, or those convicted of 2 or more violent sexual offenses or offenses involving the abduction of women and or children.
We think that this cause is worth using our platform for and our voice for, so we can support this family in any way that we can.
And like we always do, we will obviously start with telling you who the victims were before they were a victim of crime. The light that they brought to the world, they were a part of. The research in this case is mostly found because, again, we don't have any of this at easy access. It's kind of what's in the news, what is allowed to be out. So we have found the website. Obviously, we'll give you guys all of the info at the end because, again, this is a cause that everybody needs to be aware of. The Facebook group, you see that a lot. You see a lot of people, they start Facebook groups, communities, right, on Facebook looking for change, trying to advocate for change. So we will do a lot of quoting from those groups and from the website. Just from their family and loved ones to bring awareness to make some changes in this country that matter. So with that, we will hop right into episode 52.
Mchale Busch was born to Stuart and Karen Busch on February 13th, 1997 in Wetaskiwin, Alberta. When she was just a few months old, the family moved to the city of Camrose, where the family would stay for the next 18 years. She came from a hardworking and loving family and became a big sister when she was 4 years old. Her sister and her were said to be very close, and although rare for sisters, they didn't get into many tiffs. Mchale was also said to be a really protective big sister.
Mchale went to Jack Elementary School, and for middle school and high school, I think that's kind of what it said, she attended Our Lady Mount Pleasant. The year before she graduated, Mchale started dating Cody McConnell. After graduating in 2015, Mchale worked for Camrose Association for Community Living, which in itself said so much about her character. From September 2017 to August 2019, she attended Norquest College in Edmonton and completed her practical nursing program. After she completed this program, she returned to work for the association and also found out around this time that she and Cody were expecting a baby boy.
On April 18th, 2020, Mchale and Cody welcomed their bouncing baby boy, bright blue-eyed Noah McConnell, who was said to be the light of their lives and had a smile that would win your heart. As babies do, Noah had many nicknames, which I'm sure he came by honestly. 2020 was such a strange time, but even stranger to be first-time parents, I'm sure.
Yeah, and that was the weirdest thing, because I had Kiana in 2021 at the end, and it was like still, there was so many precautions, but it's almost, you obviously want everyone to enjoy your baby when you have them, but it was kind of nice that it was just kind of, when I first had a baby, it was like 100 people showed up. I was like, holy fuck. But yeah, when
you got to be in your little love bubble.
Exactly.
Because it was definitely stemming out of fear, but when it came down to it, it really was nice to be in your little love bubble with your baby.
Yeah. Everyone around them said how happy they were and how much they loved being parents to Noah. In early September of 2021, the family relocated to an apartment complex in the city of Hinton, about 250 kilometers away from Edmonton, where Cody would be working the TMX pipeline project.
On the morning of September the 16th, Mchale and Noah went to the playground close to their home. They returned home just after noon. Shortly after 12:30, Mchale had a conversation with the building manager about some dirt and mud that was located on the floor in the hallway and stairwell outside of her family's apartment. The building manager believed that Cody tracked the mud in on his work boots.
Which,
basically.
How would you even, like...
it probably went right to the door.
Yeah, well, I guess probably. But still, it's
and that's really a trivial thing.
Mm-hmm. The manager had asked Mchale to clean it up, and her neighbor, Robert Majors, had popped by to offer to clean it up and to introduce himself to the new neighbors that lived in the adjacent apartment. This conversation was heard by one of Mchale's best friends, Mary, who later testified that she kind of, I think, led them in this direction to Robert Majors. And unbeknownst to Mchale, Robert Majors was a violent, repeat sex offender that had a long and dangerous history. At around 2 o'clock, Mchale was preparing food and Noah was down for a nap. Just after 6:20 p.m., Cody returned home from work and could not find Mchale or Noah in the apartment. After seeing the uncooked food, Mchale's car parked outside, and Noah's stroller in the apartment, he became worried. After asking someone in the building if they had seen Mchale and Noah and going to the two parks near their home, Cody called Mchale's mother, Karen, who had also not heard from her. Trusting that something was wrong, Karen then reported them missing to the RCMP.
Cody and his friend, who now accompanied him, knocked on all the doors in the building, trying the hardest to find the pair. After the RCMP arrived and began investigating, Cody and his friend remained at Cody's apartment, waiting for news until around 2 a.m. Can't even imagine.
No.
Then Cody, his friend, and now his friend's girlfriend were taken by the police to a local hotel. They were told the police wanted to search through their apartment.
Which obviously he's like, do whatever you need to do,
Yeah.
you know. And I've watched so many now videos of him speaking, and, you know, just to put yourself, researching this case, I was feeling actually physically ill.
Same.
Obviously, every case we do is horrible, but this one, again, the proximity of where this man lived and, you know, right across the hall. Like, around 10 a.m. the next morning on September 17th, the RCMP's homicide unit arrived on the scene. According to the RCMP, they had discovered 16-month-old Noah's body in the dumpster outside the apartment building. It was after this discovery that they moved Cody to the hotel. The RCMP were questioning Cody at the police station when they received additional information that Mchale had been found deceased in Robert's apartment. So, this piece of shit had a long line and a long timeline of assaulting women, toddlers. In 2006, he was initially charged with sexual assault, but the charges were later dropped by the Crown, which is surprising. In 2012, he faced accusations of aggravated sexual assault against a child. This is an indictable offense with a minimum sentence of 5 years and a maximum of life imprisonment. Robert pled guilty as there was no trial, resulting in a minimum sentence of 5 years, with credit for time served amounting to a total of 3 years, 10 months, and 30 days.
In 2013, he was charged with sexual interference, but these charges were withdrawn by the Crown. It's possible that this withdrawal was related to his guilty plea for the child aggravated assault charge.
Which, like, wouldn't that be more reason to keep him? If he's like guilty, oh yeah, I'm guilty. Wouldn't you keep him? We need to have some kind of 3-strike or 2-strike, 1-strike. Like, especially if you do anything to a child or any kind of sexual assault, you should be in jail for the rest of your life. I'm sorry that infringes on these people's rights, but you're infringing.
You lost your fucking rights when you did that.
Yeah. In 2013, a corrections psych report from this year raised concerns depicting Robert as lacking insight, minimizing events, and blaming the victim and witnesses. In 2015, while serving his sentence, Robert faced accusations of inappropriately touching another prisoner. So he couldn't even in jail, he couldn't even behave himself. The parole board granted him statutory release under specific conditions. And in 2017, while still serving his sentence on release, the parole board revoked some of his leave privileges.
In 2017, knowing that his 5-year sentence was coming to an end, the police applied for and received a recognizance order, which placed him under recognizance conditions until July 2020 when it expired.
Robert was on several court-ordered conditions at the time, but it remains unknown when he moved from Edmonton to the Hinton area and how he came to live in an apartment complex with women and children near parks and schools without anyone realizing or doing anything to stop it. Upon release, the Edmonton police issued a warning to the public that Major was considered to be a high risk of reoffending and was a danger to children and women. He was ordered to be on the SOIRA, the Sex Offender Registry, for life as an automatic requirement under the legislation as it existed at that time.
So what happened?
How was he?
How was he in Hinton? Unknown to the police.
Living in an apartment complex surrounded by families and schools and 2 parks. Like when Cody went to go look for them, he went to 2 parks by their house.
Yeah, the ones that they used to go to.
Yes,
that are right beside their building.
Yes. Like with children and women and he didn't like discriminate against what kind of children.
No,
male and
when
female.
When you look at there was a release with his photo on it when he was released in Edmonton, and To me, that was one of the most graphic warnings that I have seen when they release someone. Like there was a lot of warning in the words that were written on that poster.
They knew how
they said
big
it's
of a
very likely for him to reoffend. And it didn't matter if it was women, children, boy children, girl children, men, women, like
even
he
in
was
prison,
just like,
he assaulted somebody. While in Edmonton, the EPS sought and obtained a recognizance to keep Major reporting his location to police and keep him under court-ordered conditions. Then, the Supreme Court of Canada struck down the lifetime registration of SOIRA of high-risk violent offenders, citing concern over their privacy in having to be seen attending a police station to report and lack of ability to appeal the automatic lifetime registration.
The first time you do something, your privacy doesn't matter.
Oh, fuck you. It should be, you're out of here. This left the most dangerous sexual offenders in legal limbo in the minds of the police. Some prosecution services began seeking individual court applications to ensure continued registration and monitoring of location. Many offenders, like Major, just fell through the cracks in the system. Major was considered to have no reporting requirements. He moved to Hinton, where the police and the community were unaware of the danger he represented. Nobody monitored his location, and he had no reporting requirements.
Certainly, Cody and his family would not have rented that apartment if they had known that a serial sexual predator lived right beside them.
Serial. Like, he has done this at least 5 times, and that's what he was caught for. What is it? I don't even think 60% of sexual assault cases are reported. So imagine the people, and he was like in his 50s. Like, imagine the things that he had already gotten away with.
Yeah, the things he had left in his wake already.
The public is left with the illusion of protection and monitoring, but the system is severely broken. When SOIRA was created, the preamble of the Act did not even include the goal of protecting the public. The existing sex offender registry was stated to be for the use of police investigations, but with no requirements to maintain registration and no punishment if registration and location are not updated. The police rarely use the registry for investigation purposes, and the registry is not acting as a layer of protection to the most vulnerable infants and children or adults who are at risk. In all of BC, we are advised that 2 dedicated RCMP officers in a remote rural detachment are responsible for the operation of SOIRA. Research shows no reported case in Canada where the SOIRA registry was used to apprehend criminal sexual offenders.
So it's just like a something that's put in place
for the police to use. But like, what about the general public? What about the people who you think they're going to go and assault the police? Because that's not what's going on.
No.
I'm glad the police can,
from a remote location.
Yeah. So this family, obviously, after these horrific murders, the family set out with a petition for change and has had over 22,000 signatures. On October 24th of 2023, the Facebook group released the following statement. Today, the Noah's Law group had the honor of seeing the petition we have all worked so hard to support be tabled in the House of Commons. The support we have received on the Hill has been overwhelming. However, we need more. Thank you for your help, and we still have a long haul ahead of us. Canada, we have done all we can. It is in your hands now. So, after 8 years of Trudeau's misguided public safety policies, dangerous repeat violent offenders have been released into our neighborhoods, causing devastating consequences for innocent Canadians and their families. So, we didn't go too much into what obviously, he did to Mchale, what he did to Noah. He murdered them. He sexually assaulted the mother, and and then committed indecencies to her body after she was murdered. He pled guilty to 2 counts of first-degree murder.
As we see, is his
MO.
Yeah,
right?
I did it.
I'm guilty. He's probably going to be in jail. Hopefully he's in jail for the rest of his life so that he never gets the opportunity. Because people like this, this is a compulsion. They do not stop thinking about this. They do not stop. I'm sure even the whole time they're in jail, they're thinking of how they can get away with it.
Remembering also.
Yes.
And the rate of recidivism when you are someone that has proven time and time and time again cannot be
what is
rehabilitated.
What is changing,
Yeah.
right? What is changing if he obviously, to do that in the first place, you don't just wake up one day and go, oh, I don't want to do that anymore. Why would you even wake up in the first place and think, oh, I want to do that anyway? So you can go to www.noahslaw.ca to learn more, and justiceformchaleandnoah.ca to get more info on the petition and how you can help. I think the online petition is closed, but you can also, like, to every Canadian out there, you hold the power to make a difference, to support Noah's Law. You can send a letter to the Minister of Justice. His name is Arif Virani, and his email is arif.virani@parl.gc.ca, and demand change. So mandatory reporting for offenders, offense for non-reporting, and special offender classification. Because there are people in our communities, clearly, who, like, this would allow, basically, if somebody is going to rent, an apartment, to do a background check, to know what kind of things, like, if they're a registered sex offender, you should have the right to keep the people who are living in your jurisdiction safe if you're renting to people who are families.
In your immediate vicinity, or if you're going to, here we have a lot of big apartment buildings and even small apartment buildings, and you're going to live somewhere with your family and your vulnerable children. Wouldn't it be great to know that there was not a repeat sex offender with the potential to murder you living next door to you?
Yeah. So in the names of Mchale and Noah, and in their memory, and for the thousands of other children and vulnerable sexual assault victims of assaults by known convicted predators, we ask you to change this sad and tragic reality. So the family has proposed the following amendments. The proposed amendment to the Criminal Code and the SOIRA are believed to be charter compliant and a first step to providing immediate protection to the most vulnerable. We are asking for a more robust registration system, the creation of subset with SOIRA and the most dangerous repeat offenders, and the ability of a potential landlord to be told if an offender with multiple or violent offenses is seeking to rent in a family complex or a location near schools and playgrounds. Police would provide very limited information, but the objective is to place public safety above the privacy concerns of the subset or violent repeat offender.
Even if you just heard, don't. Maybe
Right?
don't.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
it. You don't need details.
Yeah, or even if like a little flag came up that, you don't need details.
Just a little red flag in the corner of the place where you enter the information.
Or like 20 red flags, like, no, then you would really know. So a quote from the family, I just wanted to say it because I think it's, again, really important to remember they are fighting. This is not just another podcast episode. We are not, we want change. We want this bill passed. We want change in this country. We want to stop seeing these fuckers get away with doing stuff like this.
And this family's never going to be the same again.
No, there's no
They've
justice.
Lost their prize, their family, their baby, their daughter.
Mchale and Noah had their voices violently silenced. We respectfully ask you to be their voices and to seek passage of the bill. As a family, we thank you for your efforts, and we commit to continuing to advocate for the most vulnerable of victims as we grieve the loss of our precious family members. May their names and voices live on. So right now there's no obligation, like there was no obligation for what's his name to be reporting to anybody, he was just willy-nilly out in the community, like, again, around parks, around kids, around, someone vulnerable, two people vulnerable in their own home. So, just please assist us in modifying these conditions to lifelong restrictions by signing Noah's Law today. Again, I think you can print off I don't know if there's one in BC. I was trying to see. It's like the paper one where basically you have to collect all the signatures. It's not the online petition anymore. So it's absolutely ridiculous. Like, how is that trumping our safety as Canadians? Their rights, infringing on these people's rights, allowing them to have parole, allowing them to, there should be like a box of like, if you fall in the category, you should, of this, this, or this, really even just one or two things. Yeah. If you sexually assault children or women, like strangers or anyone, family members, anybody, you should be mandatorily put somewhere forever because you're going to do it again. And then they're going to be paying for you for another trial and another trial, or not even a trial because this guy just pleads guilty right away to everything. But like, what the fuck is going on?
Well, I don't know what's going on.
I have no idea.
I mean, the more that we research each case, the common theme that keeps coming up is this person was arrested for this before, and now here they are again.
And they've escalated.
And I think after a couple years, we should just give them unescorted day passes. Like,
yeah.
That's the fucked up part.
Yeah. It's like, I understand humans have rights, but when you go and you murder, like the person who, one of the people who was Victoria Stafford.
Yeah.
Someone who violently orchestrated a murder of an 8-year-old girl. You know what? Let's send her to a healing lodge.
Let's send this woman to a healing lodge.
Or you know what? Carla Homolka. Obviously not a lot was known. You guys remember the Ken and Barbie killer. Everybody who lives in Canada knows Carla Homolka. And all of our listeners, if you guys have listened to our early episodes.
She just changed her name and she's like a school mom.
She's volunteering at the PAC at her kid's school after she killed 3 girls and her own sister. Like she had a hand in it, and the justice system made a deal with her. There's also another girl from Alberta who murdered her family, which again, I think she was 12. I also want to do that case. She murdered her parents and her little brother with her boyfriend at the time. But she was also like...
Well, so I think she got out by the time she was 16 or 17.
Oh, yeah.
She could be listening right now.
Wouldn't you think that if someone was capable of doing those things, they are under their own... Like, they have their own things that maybe they need to stay in jail for, like, a little longer than 25 years.
And you have to realize, like, when our province is notifying us about people, because really, they don't really notify us about a lot of people.
It's like, oh, no, Randall Hopley fucking ran away from his halfway house. I'm like, I didn't even know that guy was out of jail.
Well, why would they tell us?
But that's what I mean. They say, like, oh, this guy's a sex offender, high risk to reoffend, but he's just going to be living in Abbotsford.
He just ran away from his halfway house.
And did they even find him? I never heard anything about that.
I think they did.
Did they?
I think so.
Well, fuck, hope so.
Well, I wouldn't know. I think they did by word of mouth, but I don't get any news on Facebook
because we're fucking prisoners in our own country. You would think it would make sense to have the thing that we have in our face all day long, most of us, for now, think about it. It's 2024. We're working on our phones. We're communicating on our phones. We're constantly fucking looking at our phones. If there are things that we need to know as Canadians to keep ourselves safe and to keep us alive and to keep our kids safe and, you know, like, don't you think?
All we get is,
yes, about a girl kidnapping her own son.
Yeah.
Because, like, you know, like, it's like, which again, there are things that maybe we don't know about that, but it's like, that's not the time it should be used for that.
It should be, Randall Hopley's getting out of jail or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. It should be like everybody in the province should be sent a picture of this person and, you know, like every week. I wouldn't mind like as long as it's not 3:00 in the morning.
Well, we wouldn't mind.
I wouldn't mind. I'm sure everybody else, because there's some people who fucking get mad about an Amber Alert when it's literally a kidnapped kid from a stranger, which I could not wrap my head around that. Those people are pieces of shit. So there's a lot of pieces of shit that I'm talking about lately, which
it's true. There's a lot of pieces of shit around.
There are. So basically, you guys know we've been saying the same thing for however many episodes. So don't let me go on a tangent, but we need change. You guys need to go and check this out. Check out this case. Google it. Go on Facebook, check out the Facebook group. Go look at the pictures of this beautiful baby and this beautiful mom and everybody that loves her and, you know, was affected by this horrible crime. Like I said, it makes me feel sick. It makes me feel nauseous. Not even just as a mom or as like...
As a human being.
As a human.
And not a piece of shit.
No, I'm not a fucking piece of shit. Sometimes like I can be like a little shitty, but like I'm not, you know.
Yeah. And I also, I would really like to thank you guys for... reaching out to us with the feelings that you're reaching out to us with, the cases, like this case was sent to us by someone that felt really strongly about what we're talking about.
They went to high school with Mchale. So that in itself, right? I mean, that to have that connection with somebody, you never forget somebody and you never forget, especially when they're taken so senselessly and it could have been completely avoided.
Well, and it could have been any one of us.
Exactly.
That's the thing. That was a total crapshoot. That was something being thrown up into the air, and you never know who you're landing beside right now.
No, because they're opportunistic. They'll take their opportunity, and good thing her friend heard her, like, him introduce himself to the baby and over the phone, and she could point them in that direction. Because if they had just come to interview the neighbors, how the fuck would they even know? Because they don't have it.
It's like
under
slender
anywhere.
older man.
He was 115 pounds.
I know,
like
115 pounds.
Fucking break him in half. Fucking piece of shit. But yeah, I mean, again, we're sorry for the swearing for everybody that's listening to this. I'm just kidding. Because no, we feel passionately. We're sick of this. We're over it. And I've been reaching out to people who have bigger platforms than us. And maybe I'm annoying.
This is extremely cool. Like, I'm proud of you for this.
I messaged Drake. So
Denika messaged
maybe
Drake.
that one will go unheard. But, there are other people I've messaged trying to get them, like, we need people with big platforms. We have a lot of new followers. We have I think we had 9 new followers the other day. No, in 2 days.
In 2 days.
9, but we had 500 last month, which is cool, because I love that in the sense of, like, people
getting our message.
People are getting our message. Yeah. Exactly. I don't give a shit about any of the other stuff. We don't have any, I don't make a lot of money from this or anything, but I'm passionate about it, and you're passionate about it.
We are, yeah.
And you raised me to be passionate about serial killers and murder and all that stuff. Not in the way of like, oh my God, yeah, but like now that we have this, to be able to use our voice, maybe to get it changed so that we don't have to do these cases anymore. And I think that there's like a line because, obviously in all of our other cases, our early cases, our mid cases, we've talked about trauma, and we're really people who have done that deep dive and like, wow, this is how the human brain operates, and this is why the human brain operates this way. Yep. And there's people who do petty crimes when they're young, and they, not saying that those are good, but it's
different. I mean,
circumstance.
I think that is circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
Like
when giving those people selling drugs, doing all that stuff. Yes, okay, those are bad in the sense of they are criminal offenses. But I mean,
well, those are easy ways of corruption.
Yes, and those are things that people who have not had maybe a good guiding light, maybe they didn't have a good family home, maybe
their mom didn't tell them
they were sexually
karma's
assaulted.
Gonna get you.
Yeah,
I did to you.
Oh, yeah, well, exactly.
You
Mom,
steal something.
Oh my God, I shoplifted earrings, went back and returned them. Remember the next day, I couldn't even wear them. I only did it with all the other kids that were shoplifting. But anyway, so it's things like that where I believe that people do have the opportunity. They can change, they can grow. The person I was even 5 years ago compared to the person I am today.
Even me, and I'm 50.
Yeah.
The person I was 5 years ago.
Yeah. God, dude.
Little less
took you a while.
I finally grew up.
But no, I think that those people, and I don't know if that sounds like, okay, you're just picking what kind of criminals, but like, no, these people are killing and raping and murdering, and they're like older people or younger people, whoever.
Because they're fucked up.
Yeah, but they're just given the opportunity to do it again and again and again and again. But you think if there's people who are doing these other crimes or selling drugs, they're non-violent offenses, they could change. Maybe those people just need to do the deep dive and like understand, are they internalizers? Are they externalizers? Were they raised by emotionally immature people? I don't know. It's not like I've been doing a lot of deep dives into my own childhood trauma, my inner child work.
I don't know why you would have any childhood trauma.
No, it's not even from you. That's the best part. I mean, it could be.
I mean, I'm sure it is.
It could be, but
it's all those years of watching Nancy Grace in bed.
Yeah, it's like, well, I mean, there was more stuff that we were watching than Nancy Grace, but yeah, I think again to just kind of send that message and hit that home.
And we're glad that it's getting out there, and we're glad that you guys are following us into our journey, and that you're making it yours. So thank you so much.
So again, to get this message out, we want you guys to follow us. We want you guys to engage with us. We love getting the messages. We've been getting a lot of messages about cases that people want us to cover, especially now, obviously, that we kind of have geared more towards these kinds of cases. And then it's like, you know, bringing you another one. Oh, here you fucking go. There's another guy who escalated and now we've done this. Or just even Canadian cases. We have some unsolved ones that have been brought to our attention. We have some cases that are like totally not even anything to do with any of this stuff. So obviously we'll keep it spicy for you guys. We're not just going to focus on this, but we would like you guys to reach out and, you know, dialogue with us.
Please
So Murder with My Mother podcast on Instagram, Murder with My Mother podcast on Facebook, Patreon. We finally got that shit going. So Murder with My Mother podcast on Patreon. You guys can just Google it. And
do we have more than one follower yet?
Maybe we do, maybe we don't. Maybe we do, maybe we don't. We also wanted to give a shout out to the cool ass studio that we get to record in. Dan, the Speakeasy podcast studio. Always, it's great. Super great.
It's changed our podcast for the better a million times. We're no longer recording in a closet. And we get to see ourselves.
Yeah, I love that we came from there, but like this studio is way fucking better.
It's fucking dope for sure.
So hit up Dan, Speakeasy Podcast Studio again. Dan, is there an Instagram?
There will be.
There will be.
The website's going to be speakeasypodcast.ca.
Speakeasypodcast.ca.
You can get a little tour of the studio.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, there you go. And Dan is your man for all that stuff.
We highly recommend. 10 out of 10.
Yeah. So anything else you wanted to touch on? I kind of need like a palate cleanser after this horrible, horrible case. We have some time left, but that's a horrible case. Literally makes me feel like nauseous. I want change. Yeah. Let me get too much into it again because I'm going to keep going for 10 more minutes, but yeah.
I am just really excited about the direction we're heading in. And as usual, I'm enjoying doing the podcast that we're doing.
Yeah, me too.
And we are hoping again to come at you more regularly.
Yeah. Well, now because the Speakeasy Podcast studio is open evenings and weekends.
Yeah. So now we have a lot more opportunity within our busy lives. Well, I'm not the one with children.
Children and 8 hats. Like I said, I'm doing so many jobs right now. So if anyone,
I'm just eating bonbons in my bed.
Bonbons and Takis. Bite. Yeah. Another thing in the true crime community. Again, go to noahslaw.ca. Look at that. Another thing, Gypsy Rose is out of jail. You guys know how we feel about Gypsy. She's out living her best life.
Yep. Gypsy, I mean, I know that there are definitely some people torn with that.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you go back into the episode we did about it, she really led a terrible life, being captive by her mother that suffered from Munchausen's by proxy. And
Gypsy, if you want to come on the podcast,
yeah,
we are more than welcoming of that. She went on the Vile
she
Files.
She did go on Vile Files,
mm-hmm. Which I think we're just as cool as Nick Vile.
I think we're cooler.
Sorry, Nick Vile, but you're probably right, Mom. But no, she's out. She's fully like, yes, I was a accomplice in my mom's murder. There's a lot of, again, go back and listen to our episode. Listen to anybody's episode. Go watch the documentary. I don't think she did her own documentary now from behind bars.
Yeah, but I can't watch it because I can't get that,
you don't want to pay for that platform? Or because it's in America?
It is.
You could go somewhere and watch it because I'm pretty sure.
Boyfriend.
Yeah. Mom's dating over the border because she's got commitment issues. So she's like, I'm just going to keep you guys over here. No, I'm just kidding. Hey,
I
Mom's
might be on
boyfriend.
90 Day Fiance soon.
Please don't get married.
That's nice.
You tried that before. I have PTSD from it.
Oh.
I'm
engaged. I just haven't told you yet.
No. Imagine. Oh my God. I would just kidding. I would fully support it. I really like him. I met him on the weekend and he was super cool, down to earth. Did you guys know that in Canada, Dan, what do you call a sticker on the back of a car?
A bumper sticker?
No, like the D word. Like something, like a D-E.
A decal?
A decal, right?
Yeah.
Do you know that we're the only? Yes.
So we are the only country that says decal, and the whole rest of the world mocks us for it.
And says decal, which I think sounds way
stupider,
more stupid, right?
I agree. Decal sounds.
Decal?
Yeah.
Go get my decal. If anyone wants a Murder with My Mother decal, I have a lot. We have
decal?
hats, we have shirts, we have all of that. So hit us up for some merch.
Yeah, I think we should
Segueing all over the fucking place right now.
I
I'm
think-
always going back, though, to keep those violent sexual offenders in jail, but I don't know.
I think
It's
we're a
short
little off the
circuit.
rails at the moment.
We are. So with that, this has been episode 52 of Murder with My Mother, the true crime podcast, where I talk murder with my mother. Bye, guys. We love
Bye.
you. See you later.